The Houthi movement, officially called the Ansar Allah movement to liberate al-Sham, discontinued, is a dramatically revived force among Yemen's ongoing civil war and government overthrown party in western counties of Red Sea. This essay will probe into the origins of Houthi movement, look at sequence leading to its attacks in Red Sea, and finally assess buying air defense weapons for both regional conflict environment and humanitarian issues. It will also look at the bigger geopolitical picture, including the competition between Saudi Arabia and Iran, as well what can be expected from international response. The Houthis' attacks on the Red Sea. Overview of attacks. The Houthis have carried out a number of attacks in the Red Sea as part of the Yemeni civil war, primarily against ships allied or belonging to coalition forces led by Saudi Arabia. These forays have taken the form of missile attacks, drone strikes and naval mines, the last, used to disable a Saudi Arabian oil tanker in May, demonstrating both that Houthi military capabilities are increasing but also their willingness to employ these weapons on key infrastructure targets. Missile and drone attacks. The Houthis have employed ballistic missiles and drones in operations. Significant attacks in the past have included an assault on a Saudi oil tanker near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in 2019, though causing damage to the ship. No significant casualties were reported. The Houthis took responsibility for the attack, declaring it a legitimate military response to Saudi's escalation. Naval mines. As a way to attack sea trade in the Red Sea, they have resorted to using naval mines. The incident was followed by damage to commercial vessels from underwater mines in the approaches of Fujairah earlier this past summer, scaring off some shipping companies about moving through. Naval mines indicate the Houthis are tailoring their maritime strategy and may be seeking to control shipping lanes. Attacks on military vessels. In addition to hitting commercial vessels, the militants have struck military targets in Red Sea. They also said they had attacked a Saudi warship in 2019, illustrating their increasing naval capabilities. The two military operations are indicative of the Houthis' strategic aim to contest the ability for influence in a region long occupied by Saudi-led coalition resorts. Reasons for the attacks. The Houthi attacks in the Red Sea are driven by several reasons. They are at least in part a reaction to the continuing Saudi-led military strike against them in Yemen. The Houthis seek to advertise their defiance in striking at ships along the Red Sea, as well as to indicate that they are able and willing to engage beyond Yemen. These attacks, further to disrupting global trade routes and supporting a Saudi-led coalition's pressure on the region, are also trying to coerce their own brand of political relevance in both regional and world policy. Regional security implications. Escalation of conflict. The Houthi attacks could risk exacerbating an already deadly war in Yemen and raise tensions beyond the region. The Saudis have retaliated for Houthi aggression with airstrikes and naval patrols, enhancing the probability of a direct conflict. Further fighting could open the door to a larger regional conflict that would bring in outside powers and deepen an already terrible humanitarian crisis from Yemen. Impact on international trade. Being one of the world's key trade routes, how these threats in Red Sea are major ones on international maritime freight and global commerce. This could cause higher insurance premiums and operational risks for shipping companies, ultimately leading to rerouting of vessels and increased costs on global supply chains. Any disturbance in the Red Sea can have long-term economic reverberations, impacting both regional as well as global market that relies on oil and merchandise pass through this crucial lifeline. Humanitarian consequences. Yemen is facing one of the most acute humanitarian crises after 4 years of conflict. Intensification of military operations on the Red Sea, including restrictions to sea navigation and associated risks such as targeting commercial vessels and strikes, would also exacerbate delivery obstacles faced by aid agencies working against severe threats affecting millions, threatening with food insecurity, health service shortage, epidemic spread, or simply displacement. The conflict, which has had a high cost in human life that especially affects children and the vulnerable segment of society. The global editorial guidelines on the Houthi attacks. Diplomatic efforts. The international community has called for de-escalation and dialogue in Yemen following the Houthi attacks. Successive United Nations attempts to mediate peace talks have said this can be solved only by a political settlement. This, however, has proven very difficult to do since the warring parties have deep-seated anger and there are external actors that meddle in with their own interests. Maritime patrols and security programs. Marshall Plan. Alive and well. Several nations, particularly in the United States and Europe, have stepped up their naval presence in the Red Sea to protect services travel. The U.S. has carried out naval patrols and supported the Saudi-led coalition with intelligence, logistical support, airdrops of material to friendly forces, air-to-air refueling for aircraft from Arab states but not bombing missions. All these steps are meant to dissuade the Houthis from further attacks and give vessels passing through the Red Sea peace of mind. Countering Iranian influence, the Houthis are widely seen as an Iranian proxy which has proven with military support and technical assistance they receive from the Islamic Republic. The strikes have said to violently targeted a handful of regional powers, especially Saudi Arabia, who has been working vehemently against the alleged superiority revengeance of Iranian mullahs in their frontiers. That has included diplomatic efforts, joint military operations with regional partners and publicizing Iran's actions in the region. The regional animosity between Saudi Arabia and Iran, however, interferes with this process, adding an additional dimension of complexity to the conflict in Yemen, especially regarding its implications for Red Sea security. Broader geopolitical dynamics, regional rivalries. The Saudi-Iran regional rivalry. Yemen is a symbolic battleground for the struggle between two of the region's major powers. Riyadh has been worried about the Yemen-based Houthis in recent years as they have largely sided with Iran, promoting fears Tehran is extending its influence into peninsula territories. That competition has been playing out through a proxy war in Yemen, as both sides struggle to get ahead. At first glance, these recent Houthi attacks in the Red Sea seem to be about regional pride, but upon further analysis it tells a different story entirely. The Houthis want to establish their own authority and combat Saudi will, while the kingdom is endeavoring to safeguard his stake in Yemen. In Yemen, this dynamic is problematic for attempting to reach a durable peace, as external powers have incentive in the success of one side or another. What this means for U.S. foreign policy, however, America's policy towards conflict in Yemen and Houthi attacks on the Red Sea extends influence far beyond its own borders. The U.S. has traditionally backed Saudi Arabia, a key strategic ally in checking Iran's influence. But the dire human cost of the war in Yemen has come under fire from not only human rights groups but some members of Congress, who have demanded an end to U.S. assistance for a Saudi-led coalition that is fighting Houthi rebels there. The Biden administration has shown an interest in refocusing on diplomacy and humanitarian assistance for Yemen. But the layers to this war and participation from all kinds of regional powers means there are wide barriers for U.S. peace help efforts. Zan. Managing these complexities will demand a deft touch that accounts for competing U.S. equities, host nation stability and human rights considerations. Conclusion: Houthi attacks in the Red Sea mark a major escalation of Yemen war with big implications for regional security, global commerce and humanitarian conditions. However, the situation remains volatile and there is a real risk that it could spiral further out of control, highlighting how vital it is for diplomatic steps to end this conflict. The Red Sea standoff is a fresh example of the difficult juggling act that modern forces have to maintain, as local fights can spark global battles. A sustainable political solution can only be reached by serious and collective action of the international community, to solve this humanitarian crisis in Yemen and promote stability. Dialogue and cooperation are the only way to stop this violence, which is essential for sustainable peace in Yemen, stability around Bab el-Mandeb. The changing nature of the Houthi movement and their maritime operations make it important for regional, as well as global actors to have a complete knowledge about challenges ahead. While the conflict in Yemen grinds on, members of the regional and international communities have a duty to focus their attention on avoiding war whilst addressing its root causes so as to contribute towards a more secure and stable Red Sea region for the benefit of all. Thank you for watching. We will be uploading more informational and interesting mystery videos. So kindly please like, share and subscribe. Do not forget to turn on the bell button so that you may be notified when I upload new interesting videos for you. And comment what video do I need to upload next for you. Stay tuned, bye.